Friends, welcome to this daily devotion. I'm Pastor Mark, and I have the privilege of serving the United Methodist Church of the Frankfort, Mokena, and New Lenox areas. I ask that you come to this time with an open heart and an open mind. Ready yourself that we may truly come into the presence of God and leave transformed as people living an abundant life. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from helping me from the words of my groaning? My God, I cry by day, but you do not answer, and by night, but find no rest. Psalm 22. Don't normally do devotions on Saturday, but this Holy Saturday, I felt appropriate to at least share a few moments for your day. I want to read where we left off yesterday. The burial of Jesus. Matthew 27, starting in 57. That evening, a man named Joseph came. He was a rich man from Arimathea who had become a disciple of Jesus. He came to Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. Pilate gave him permission to take it. Joseph took the body, wrapped it in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had carved out of the rock. After he rolled a large stone at the door of the tomb, he went away. Mary Magdalene and the other Mary were there, sitting in front of the tomb. The next day, which was the day after Preparation Day, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered before Pilate. They said, "Sir, we remember that while the deceiver was still alive, he had said, 'After 3 days I will rise.' Therefore, order the grave to be sealed until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal the body and tell people he's been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate replied, "You have soldiers for guard duty. Go make it as secure as you know how." They went and secured the tomb by sealing the stone and posting the guard. God bless the reading of the gospel. For me, Holy Saturday is important. Traditionally in the church, in ancient times, we celebrated 3 special services leading up to Easter. Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil. Maundy Thursday, remembering the Last Supper. Good Friday, remembering the crucifixion. Usually the Last Supper in the evening. Good Friday in the daytime because it happened from noon to 3. Some churches still do that from noon to 3. And then the Easter Vigil from the very late evening, usually like 11 p.m. till midnight. The Easter Vigil is a uncomfortable service, and I love it because often life's uncomfortable. And far too often, good religious people, good spiritual people, good Christians have tried to avoid the discomfort, the uncomfortableness, the disquiet, the disorientation. And if you just try to bury your head in the sand and ignore it, that doesn't lead to new life. It doesn't lead to new life. We will all live in uncomfortable times. We all have recently. The pandemic, pretty uncomfortable. For some more than others, but I think fair to say for everybody, fairly uncomfortable. But we've all had more personal, more uncomfortable times than that. Death, loss, illness, heartbreak, betrayal, abandonment, abuse. And I love this passage that we don't read very often. Or we do and we just don't hear it. And myself included, I'm speaking of myself. Verse 61. Joseph and in other Gospels, Nicodemus, they take the body down. There's not really time to prepare it in the way that you would normally prepare it because of the Sabbath. And so they just seal it in the tomb. Mary Magdalene, and in this story, another Mary, one of the other various Marys, they're a very popular name at the time, truthfully very popular. They sit. And it doesn't say when they left. But I have this sense that Mary Magdalene sat at the tomb for a while. And I don't know if she left just right before, the Easter Sunday to get the stuff to bring back because they were going to prepare his body rightly. They didn't want to do that during the Sabbath. But just because you can't work during the Sabbath doesn't mean that she couldn't have just sat during the Sabbath. And maybe she was just there that night and she went home. And she spent Holy Thursday, like most of the disciples, behind closed doors, afraid of the authorities, afraid of the church, afraid of what might happen because their leader had died and maybe they were next. Or maybe the guards came and told her to get out of there, or maybe she just sat there. Maybe even when the guards came, she just sat there. And she waited, vigil, with Jesus. I love this passage so much because Mary, more than any other disciple, shows us what true discipleship looks like. So many, and many Marys do throughout Scripture, show us what true discipleship looks like. But how often, when people are going through Holy Saturdays, the worst of their lives, do we just say, hey, it's going to get better. Everything happens for a reason. God needed another angel. We don't want to be uncomfortable. And so we say dumb things that are more hurtful than helpful. Or just get over it. Stop crying. Like we get aggressive about it sometimes. And what did Mary do? Mary sat and waited. As uncomfortable as it was, as scary as it was, as confusing as it was, she sat with Christ in silence. Maybe alone, maybe one of the other Marys was with her. There's some wonderful theological things about what Christ was doing on Holy Saturday and how Mary stood vigil here on this side of the earth while Christ was doing ministry beyond, storming the gates of hell, proclaiming the good news to those who had already died. But beyond that, just in this beautiful, simple moment, Christ had died. His body was in a tomb. And Mary sat and ministered to him. She waited. Don't neglect Holy Saturday. Don't fill your day with stuff, preparations. Don't work too hard. Sit. Be uncomfortable. Go with others and be uncomfortable together. Because the more deeply you experience the events of this week, the more fully you experience the events of tomorrow. I guarantee it. So maybe you haven't taken this week seriously at all. It's just been another Easter week and it's been chaos and anxiety and stress. Stop it. Stop it. Things will take care of themselves tomorrow. Stop it. Order pizza for Easter lunch. Who cares? Don't worry about it. It's not worth it. Maybe you've gone through every single step of this week and intentionally focused on every moment. And so I encourage you to do the same thing today. Sit and wait. Be uncomfortable, because what's coming is going to be so great. I want you to feel it, experience it, and know it fully. Friends, my prayer for you today is that we sit together on this Holy Saturday, awaiting the Lord.